I am Justin Boyd.
I'm just here for the pettiness.
I am a scorned Chiefs fan, Tristan Jones. Franklin's on mute.
And Frank's muted.
Sorry, that's just how I feel today. I don't want to talk about
Chiefs offense.
I'm contractually obligated to.
Right. Yeah. No comment is tough for a pod, Frank. We gotta have some words. Yeah.
Anyway,
and we are
the Watchers in the Basement. That's my line, Justin.
Well, you're usually not here, so that's why I want to jump in. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to Watchers Football Weekly, a podcast within a podcast and a podcast. It's all about the pigskin. We are here today to discuss Super Bowl 59. And before we jump right into the game, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Just want to lay it out for y'all. We're going to talk about the game a little bit. We're going to talk about some other NFL stuff. We're going to talk about the halftime show, of course. Then we're going to talk about some trailers and some commercials. Most importantly, the Thunderbolts trailer. So let's get to it. A lot to discuss. The game was not what we expected. I mean, honestly, it was a total shocker to me because not that I didn't think the Chiefs could, not that I didn't think the Eagles could win. I didn't think the Eagles would win this way. The Eagles their defense absolutely dominated the Chiefs. 40-22 win. The game wasn't even as close as the score. The Chiefs' hopes of a three-peat were dashed pretty emphatically by Philadelphia. And I know, obviously Tristan and Frank are massive Chiefs fans. So I just want to say, how are y'all doing today? Tristan, how's it going? How you feeling?
I have spent the majority of my day with 16 and 17-year-olds who have been dying for any reason to have a one-up on me because it's impossible to get a one-up on me in any type of way, physically, verbally, whatever. And, I stand outside so I'm in a T building, so I stand outside to make, open the door for everybody. It's like 3 classrooms. So I open the door for everybody. And you can see people walking and they'll see me from 20 feet away. And you can see the biggest smiles on their face. Kids I've never seen smile at all, and who barely speak. And they see me from 20 yards away. And they're just and it's all day, so that's been the majority of my day.
Did they look at you like Kendrick looked at the camera when he called out a certain individual?
The biggest green.
Hey.
The biggest green. How do I feel? A mix of emotions. Last night was shell shock. Frank I don't even know what the fuck Frank was talking to me about last night. I was just yeah, that's crazy. I had nothing. I was just completely blank. This morning, my wife literally had to kiss me and it was it's gonna be okay. It's somewhere around mid-afternoon, I was hey, the optimism, you start to kind of refocus. And I'm hey, Rashid's back next year. We make some changes to the O-line, get a left tackle, yada, yada. Yeah. Hey, we'll be back, and I do think that they'll be back. But good Lord, man, today was a rough day. Today was a rough day.
It moves in the chat. It says sad for the Chiefs for the loss, but happy Harrison Butker lost. So
did Harrison Butker get on the field?
I know. I don't. I mean, he kicked off at least once, right? Well, he kicked off a couple times, right? Or does he do the kickoffs? Is he just a field goal kicker, or is he the kickoff?
They've gone back and forth.
They go back and forth. Okay.
I don't remember hearing his name.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
Frank, it's been a tough week for you. I mean, the Luka trade, which honestly shocked the entire world, not just the sports world, not just Mavs fans. Then you got this, where your team had a chance at three-peat, got all the way back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year, and lost. So how you doing?
Not good, Justin. No, not good, man. It's I played out so many scenarios in my mind yesterday morning, going into the afternoon, and I can honestly say this was not one of the scenarios I dreamt of, that I saw happening, coming. I don't know if I was an asshole in my former life. I try to treat people the way I try to treat people with respect and dignity and admiration. And I don't know, man. I must have been a dick in an alternate reality. Maybe I don't know. It's I did not foresee this. Like, this is one of the most button-up teams I root for in all of sports. And you know, typically when you give a coach like Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare, it's typically good fortune for your team. And they look thoroughly outcoached. They looked thoroughly they were outplayed. Even in the Chiefs' bad games this year, they always remain competitive.
Yeah.
And they always found a way to like adjust as the game goes along. I'm watching the game yesterday. I'm just waiting for like that switch to click, and it just never clicked. Like, it was like they were just stuck in neutral. I think after the first turnover, they were just like, I saw DeAndre Hopkins drop balls. I never seen him drop. I saw the O-line on all across the board get dominated, not just the left side. Pat he had happy feet in the pocket. Like, just things that you see from a bad team that you don't see from a good team. It looked like a team that was impostered by a bad team. Even down 17-0, I'm like, okay, it's 2 minutes left in the first half. We can get the ball back, we can score, make it 17-3. We can come back after the halftime, make it 17-10. We're fine. When Pat threw that interception, I'm just kind of like, oh shit, this is Tampa over again. Like, they just were stuck in neutral the whole time. And look, man, I'm blessed. I mean, 3 Super Bowl wins in 6 years. I can't be spoiled. Like, I mean, I'm very grateful to see this team compete for as long as they have competed, but a better part of 7 seasons. And look, man, and I was telling Tristan yesterday, sometimes you just lay a dud. It's not a formula or explanation of what happened. Great teams lay duds sometimes, and unfortunately, they laid it on the grandest stage. This could be the beginning of a villain arch story. Like, this is something that they can think about the whole offseason and come back, better and stronger. After Tampa, a lot of people saw them as one and done or dead, and they came back the following year and won Super Bowl. So I think they'll be fine. I mean, Andy's not going anywhere. Andy said he'll be back next year. I think Pat will be more motivated than anything. And one thing about the Chiefs, man, that they always do, when they have a weakness, they waste no time strengthening that weakness in one offseason. I think that left side of the O-line will be figured out. I think they will fortify whatever resources they have to fortify the left side of the O-line. And moving forward, I think there'll be a favorite coming out next year in the AFC as well. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that no one's going to be surprised if they're back in the Super Bowl next year. Certainly in the AFC Championship game. I mean, they're not really going to go anywhere. They're still going to be the best team in their division. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a contender for sure. But you mentioned when it was 17-0 in that game. That's actually the part where I was like, I think this is over. Like that, because you talk about the Chiefs, like they played all these close games. Part of that was because they never fell very far behind this season, right? I mean, they played these close games. They didn't really have to make major comebacks. When it was 17-0, I'm like, that's a 3-score game, and they're having trouble getting first downs. I mean, getting they had 1 first down at half. I mean, it was a stunning game. Just let's get into the numbers a little bit here. Like, you got, the Eagles sacked Mahomes 6 times, including a strip sack, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. The Chiefs they didn't cross the 50 until the dying minutes of the third quarter when the score was 34-0 Philadelphia. Just kind of like an out of body experience for that team, and just watching it, because I fully expected this to be a close game, just much like Super Bowl 57 was a field goal difference. And I thought it was going to be a weird score. I was telling everybody, I was like, oh, it'll be like 25-24, some kind of like 23-22, some kind of weird close game. But it was just kind of a runaway from, the second quarter on. The Eagles just took control, and, the Chiefs defense really played okay. Like, Saquon Barkley didn't really do much, and the Eagles still won because of that defense. Tristan, is there anything you want to hit on that I mentioned there, or something that you want to talk about that we haven't discussed?
Where to start? I've been rooting for Andy Reid coach teams since I was 14 years old. And we talked about it, during the game yesterday, but like that's one of the first times where I felt like either Andy did not have an answer for like a clear weakness, or Andy refused to make the adjustment because of whatever. Like the obvious adjustment would be to move Joe Tooney back from left tackle, which is not his natural position, back to the right side, back to the guard position, and the left guard, and then go back to DJ Humphries. But I feel like my argument, not even an argument, it's kind of like my rationale, trying to understand, the Chiefs' rationale is that they set a course before the playoffs started and say, hey, DJ Humphries still not all the way, 100%, or we just feel more comfortable with Tooney here, and we'll make, these small minor adjustments around that. And this is the course we're taking, and we're just going to rock with it. That was the wrong decision, just simple and plain. They should have went back to Humphrey before the Texans game, allowed that, to get some comfort there. The run game, I think, would have been better. And, the Eagles were not blitzing. They blitzed once. I know the official numbers say that they blitzed 0 times, but I legitimately saw them blitz, bring an extra guy on one of those plays. It was ironically, it was one of the plays. It might have been a 2-point conversion, actually. That's probably why I didn't go credit it. But they definitely brought a blitz at least once. But I think that would have been the better adjustment. Like they could have run the ball just even a little bit against that front four, to keep them honest. But they were just pinning their ears back, and they had Pat. They got to Pat early, and then this is a function of something we've seen all year, is that once the blitz or once that pressure really starts getting to him every single down, then he starts anticipating it before it happens. And he stops looking downfield. The offense is already too much dink and dunk, but he gets happy feet. He sometimes steps into the pressure. Sometimes he bails early. Like because they could not protect him early, it set the course for the rest of that game, really until late third when, essentially garbage time, which is wild to say. But ultimately, the last thing I kind of want to say about the game in general is last night was the end of the second Mahomes era. The first era from 2018 to 2021 was this high explosive, large dependence on big plays, big explosive plays downfield. I would say like a 60-40, pass run split, big numbers, all that. From 2022 to until last night, it's been this methodical drives, dink and dunk, taking what the defense gives, kind of working our way through, this too high defense. And they won that way. They won 2 Super Bowls that way, but like it's not sustainable. And worst of all, it does not take advantage of a lot of the skill sets. You have the most talented quarterback in history, one of the most gifted arms, if not the most gifted arm in history. Like this is something that needs to be utilized regardless of who's on the team. Like just to keep defenses honest. You have one of the fastest receivers in the league, who's as a rookie has gotten infinitely better throughout the course of the year. You got Rasheed coming back. You might bring Hollywood back, if he doesn't leave. Like you have the opportunity to open the offense back up more to get to now relieve some pressure on the defense. Like it's a seesaw. At first, the offense had to take over for the defense. Then it's been kind of vice versa the last 2 years. Now it needs to be, if this team is going to continue to reach its full potential, you can have both the defense and the offense playing at a high level at the same time. So hopefully last night was the end of an era. Hopefully that era ends with Matt Nagy as well. But even if he's back, open the offense up. Like it has to be opened up, because teams should not be able to tee off on Pat like they did and not pay for it in some type of way.
Yeah, I mean, just their offense all season just never kind of got on track. It just, it just never felt like the Chiefs that we saw from years ago. And that's why a lot of the games were close. That's why, they're playing teams that were like, sub 500 or, barely contenders were these close games that came down to these like, you know, field goals hitting the uprights and going through. And it was kind of like, also they had a ton of injuries and they had a lot of stuff going on, but, that you're right. They do need to open up the offense and get back to, doing what kind of made this team, the team that became the next AFC power after the Patriots. And Frank, I want to go to you with, you look at this season. Obviously, lose the Super Bowl. That's sucks, right? But like, still a great year. I mean, they could have had a perfect season for a while. They did have a perfect season for a while. How are you going to kind of remember this year? Like, do you think this is the end of an era, kind of, or do you think that they're going to like, you know, keep it rolling and it's just going to be like, well, yeah, they lost that one in 2025, but then they got back on track in 2026 or 2025 season, and that it's just a speed bump on this run that they're on.
I mean, look, it's still a great year because you've never had a team to go back 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still, they went back 3 years in a row. They didn't win,
right?
But that's something to admire and to acknowledge. It's just, there's a reason why it's never been done. There's a reason why only 7 teams have had opportunity to win 2 in a row. It's just in 100-year history prior to the merger, it's been done once, and that was the Packers in the 50s with the NFL championships, pre-Super Bowl, AFL, NFL merger. So all in all, it's a successful year. I mean, how many fan bases can say a down year is an AFC championship win? That's a down year. That's like you didn't win the Super Bowl. Like you went to the AFC championship game and won your conference. That's a down year for us in the last 7 years. And that's something that I want people to keep that in mind and not just solely look at it as Super Bowl or bust. It's just, look, there's 32 NFL teams, man. Only one team can win it every year. It's not, we gotta stop looking at stuff as a bottom line business. This is, this coaching staff, this team, this franchise has done something that no other team has done. I mean, they've been to 7 straight conference championship games. That's something that you got to be proud of. Did it end in a storybook ending this year? No, it didn't. You probably lose Travis Kelce. He might retire. We'll see. There's some key free agent guys who are going to go, because when you win the way the Chiefs has won, you price a lot of your players out of the market, and guys start picking at the second at the power tee. That's just a fact of the matter. But as I sat there last night watching the game, I'm like, I'm blessed, bro. I mean, it's 3 rings, man. 3 rings, past 3 rings by the time he turns 30. That's something that you have to acknowledge. And this incremental changes you can make going into this season. You have to open, like Tristan said, you have to open up the offense. I mean, even when guys came back like Hollywood and D-Hop get more acclimated to the system and Worthy get more comfortable, there was just a hesitance of like just opening it up. And it's like you can't play things like that close to the vest every single Sunday. You just can't. You have to be able to look at your skill set and be able to exploit the weapons that you have. And I think Kansas City this year got too comfortable. And when you play close to the vest like that, when you come across a team like the Eagles who have nothing to lose, and again, they got something to play for. They lost 2 years ago, so they have an axe to grind as well. You have to be able to adjust to that and take that best punch. And I think there were things in that game that I feel like they could have adjusted and done. The DJ Humphries thing, like, look, I get it. It's a Super Bowl. I think the last time he played was a Denver game, end of the season, that they gave him some snaps at left tackle. He's active, man. If you're active, you have to try to play. You have to try to see what he can give you. He's a mammoth guy. He's 6'5", long arms, things that Tooney just isn't. And I think I don't know if I remember in our last pod 2 weeks ago in our final thoughts, I said Andy and Andy Heck, both Andys need to entertain moving Tooney back inside because they're going against the best interior line of football with Jalen Carter and the other guy from Georgia in the middle, and you have to be able to counteract that. And I feel like we didn't put our best foot forward, counteract what the Eagles can do. And I'm not blaming Tooney at all. Tooney was playing out of position in the first place. So I think what he did last month is something that should be heralded and appreciated because for a Hall of Fame guard to kick out the left tackle and play the way he played against Daniil Hunter and a lot of these and Myles Garrett into the season, a lot of these guys that we look at as vaunted pass rushers in this league and him hold his own. It was beautiful to see, but if I can't make a change in the Super Bowl in the last game of the year, what are you holding your cards for? Like you see Tooney struggling.
Yeah. You
see Pat having happy feet. Both of those turnovers, well, the first turnover, Tooney is being put in Pat's lap on that interception. He's literally getting picked up and being put in Pat's lap. And Pat has to force it to make a play. You see this at halftime. You have a 35-minute halftime. Make that change, man. Make that change. And it might have been too late at that point. But if you see Tooney struggling and Calendo struggling, go to DJ Humphries. What at that point? What more damage can you do at that point?
Yeah.
And I feel like they left a bullet in the chamber that they could have used to see if that would have changed the flow of the game. Because even on that first drive that they had, Tooney's getting pushed back on that 3rd and 9. Kelsey runs a dig route over the middle, and Pat's 2 yards behind him. He throws it behind him. Tooney is in Pat's lap at that point, and it makes you wonder what if Tooney would have got moved if Pat's playing a cleaner game and not running for his life the way that he was.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right. The move at that point, what'd you have to lose? You're down 24-0 at halftime. You got to try to spark the team in some way. As we kind of wrap up the talk about the game, I think we should probably mention Philadelphia a little bit. We talked about the defense quite a bit. Let's talk about the Philadelphia offense. And Tristan, Jalen Hurts, a Houston area product. He was a Super Bowl 59 MVP, and he had some really big runs, had some solid throws, played pretty well. What'd you see out of him in the game?
He did everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
He took advantage every time that the Chiefs blitz, found guys on the outside. Chiefs went man. He scrambled. He picked up, 3rd downs, 4th downs. He did everything he was supposed to do. Had the one interception, but that ended up not meaning anything. I think Jalen Hurts he just kind of retrofitted himself into whatever the game needed at that particular point. And that's kind of all you can ask for. Like you're not getting super dynamic play, from him, but with the team that they have, you don't need it. I give them credit for the fact that the Chiefs openly came out and was like, hey, we're going to stop Saquon on the ground. They did that. This was a Jalen Hurts has to beat us game. And for the most part, the Chiefs did everything in their power to beat themselves as well. But Jalen Hurts did everything in his power as well when he had the opportunities to beat them. And that's all you can ask for. He gets, complete credit, for playing his second phenomenal Super Bowl in a row. He's shown, for the most part, he's a big game quarterback.
Yeah.
I take nothing away from him. He played phenomenal. He deserved MVP. I felt like the Eagles defense, more so deserved it. But in 2025, we're not arguing about, a quarterback who played as well as he did, not getting the, Super Bowl MVP. So he deserved it.
Yeah.
Hands down.
And Frank, what a weird year. Last year, Jalen Hurts, a lot of criticism. Started this year, a lot of criticism. Nick Sirianni, a lot of criticism. A lot of people wanted him fired. And, both had a pretty good redemption story this season. They went on to win 10 straight games. Obviously, wind up in the Super Bowl, win the game, pull off the big upset. Just tell me about what you saw from the Eagles offense in this game?
I saw them with a clear-cut game plan. The game plan was, Jalen, we're going to put the ball in your hands, and you're going to dictate this game and dictate the play calling. They gave him complete autonomy even at the line of scrimmage. That the touchdown to AJ, that was all Jalen. Like he slid protection. He changed the play for whatever it was at before, and he made a dime to AJ. The third down shot to Devontae in the third quarter, that was just a beautiful throw. Like, it's, people want to give Jalen a lot of shit, but one thing he can do is hit the deep pass. That is his strength. The fade route, the in between the goalpost down the field, letting the ball fly downfield, that's his strength. He played a masterful game. It's the second straight Super Bowl he's played well. Like, he played well enough to win the first game.
Yeah.
He had 380 total offense, 4 touchdowns. Like, I hope the talk of his ability to play quarterback is now put to rest. I think a lot of old heads and old farts, they're so used to seeing quarterback being played the Tom Brady way, the Peyton Manning way, drop back and throw and assess the defense and make these laser anticipatory passes. Like, no, man, like, you can win the way Lamar plays. You can win the way Jalen Hurts plays. This is new age football, man. And he had an up and down year. But when it came time to make a play, that 10-game win streak they had during the season, he was a part of it. I mean, I know Saquon gets a lot of credit for it, but he made timely plays. And during that 10-game winning streak and going to the playoffs, he had 1 turnover. And that was yesterday. And it didn't mean anything. But and I want to give Sirianni credit too, man. Sirianni knows his strengths, man. He's a rah-rah guy. He'll manage the game, but he really lets his coordinators coach and develop game plans. And Kellen Moore and Nick Fangio did a masterful job putting together a game plan on both sides of the ball, man. And I gotta give credit where credit's due, man. Fangio had a great game plan. That was a massively. It looks like they went back and watched the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, because, like you said, they didn't blitz at all. They rely on their front four. They have a young, talented secondary. They really just let their secondary loose. Like, hey, man, Imano, we're gonna do what we do. We're gonna play man. We know. Pat is a man killer with his his ability to throw the ball, but we're gonna trust our front four to get home, and it worked. And credit to them.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Kellen Moore. He's going to be the Saints coach. So he went from being the Cowboy. He wasn't good enough to be the Cowboys offensive coordinator to winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles, and now he's going to be the Saints coach. So the NFL coaching carousel. What a crazy ride that always is. So that closes the book on Super Bowl 59. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Congratulations to the Chiefs for getting back there again. Did something that no team has ever done. And I want to point this out, because now we're going to enter the 6th decade of the Super Bowl. Super Bowl era is entering its 60th year next year. And Brittany, I want you to get in on this too, because I want to mention that there are 4 teams that still have never played in the Super Bowl. Those 4 teams are the Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who've been close a couple times, the Detroit Lions, who could have been there last year, maybe should have been there this year, and of course our Houston Texans here. The Oilers never made the Super Bowl. The Texans have never made it. So I'm going to pose this question to everybody. Prediction time. In the next 10 years, will the Texans finally make it to the Super Bowl? Tristan, I want you to go first. Prediction. Do you think they'll make it? And if so, give us a number. Which Super Bowl are the Texans going to play in?
None of them.
None of them. Sticking with it. Okay.
No. Again, in the next 10 years, see, Mahomes will be 39. Allen will be 38.
Yeah.
Lamar will be 37. 30, whatever.
Right.
No.
You just don't see it.
I just don't see it.
Don't see it. Okay. Frank, what about you? Will the Texans be in the Super Bowl in the next 10 years?
Yes, I give him one appearance.
Okay.
Because I have faith in I have faith in their defense and what they do defensively. I think D'Amico Ryans can muster up a defense good enough to get a home field advantage and go on a 2-game run against the Super Bowl. It's gonna be tough. I mean,
yeah.
I know Tristan. He didn't say Burrow. Burrow's in that conversation too. It's just a murderous row of quarterbacks in the AFC, man. Like it's tough. It's tough. If they're in the NFC, I feel like I'll be like for sure. But I give them one appearance. I think they can. I think they can have a Philadelphia Eagles type of run one year. I think it's very possible.
Okay. Brittany, what about you? What do you think? Will the Texans finally get the Super Bowl next 10 years?
I mean, not that I really watch football as it is, as y'all know, those who are tuning in for my first appearance here on the Watchers Football Weekly, the pod within a pod. I used to really watch football back in the day. I used to really watch the Texans back in the day. And Justin was kind enough to even give me tickets one year. And that was fun. I enjoy live games versus watching on TV. It's just my thing. But I think this year the Texans were pretty damn close. I mean, pretty damn close. Of course, they went up against KC, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. I won't trash talk too much because I know Tristan and Frank are hurting, and I don't want to stir the pot, although I have been in our group chat. But that being said, I think they have great potential. I think CJ Stroud is like a pretty formidable quarterback, and time will tell. Truly, I think developing this young team is going to take time, but it's possible. And I'm not a very optimistic person at all. I know that we always generally have always won the AFC South championships, but to go beyond that would be great. To make it to Super Bowl one day would be great.
Yeah. No, I think, I think the smart money would be, if it's going to happen, it's going to be the next couple of years. So I'm going to say it's going to happen, but I think it's going to be in 4 years. I think it's Super Bowl 63. The Texans will make it. Now, I understand Tristan and Frank's point about you got Mahomes for another decade. You've got Burrow. You've got Josh Allen, the MVP this year. You got Lamar Jackson. You got a ton of quarterbacks, right? A ton of good teams in the AFC. But I think the Texans are going to slip in one of these years. I think it's going to be you're not going to expect them to get in. Like, I'm pretty sure Stroud will still be there, right? I'm not sure D'Amico will still be the coach. Hopefully he will be. But I think it's going to be 1 year where, like, the next couple, maybe next year they take another step. Maybe they make the title game, right? Next year they take a step back. Or maybe they take 2 steps. I don't know. But then they come back, and it's going to be a year you're not going to think they're going to get in. They're going to be like a 10-7 team, or by that time they're probably playing 18 games or 20 games. Who knows? I think they're going to do it. I think they're finally going to do it. But I want to pose this to the chat. Do you think the Texans will be in the Super Bowl in the next 10 years? Or what about the Lions or the Browns or the Jaguars? Like, those teams still haven't made it. So let us know in the comment section or in the live chat if you think the Lions, Browns, Texans, or Jaguars will be in the Super Bowl in the next 10 years. Okay, so let's keep this going a little bit more with some NFL stuff. Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are reportedly going to cut Aaron Rodgers. So my question, let's get Tristan and Frank's thoughts on this. Is Aaron Rodgers done? Will he retire? Or do you think he'll sign elsewhere and continue his career? Tristan, what are your thoughts?
I think he'll sign somewhere else. Where? I don't know. We've talked about it kind of briefly throughout the season, towards the end of the season at least. I thought that maybe like the 49ers could be a dark horse, but from everything I've kind of heard from them talk about Purdy, they seem committed to him. So that's out the door. I thought that would be like a really good option for them, at least as a leverage play. Like, hey, Purdy, you want $60 million? We got Aaron Rodgers, but Oakland, maybe. Like, I can only really see him playing on the West Coast.
You mean Vegas?
Vegas, my bad. Jeez. Damn. Maybe Vegas as a dark horse. I can see a team that is definitely not a championship contender, but it's kind of in that mid, purgatory status, saying, hey, maybe we can get Aaron Rodgers to get us over the hump. I think they'll be wrong.
Yeah.
But I can see at least one team that I can't fully identify making that move. I would say like the Saints, but I don't even know if the Saints have money. Like they might they might have to pay people, like just to show up and practice, whatever. I don't know, but I can see a team at least putting fillers out, exploratory fillers out to see if he might be interested. I wouldn't say that he's completely done, like he's announcing his retirement in the next month, but somebody will kick the tires.
Frank, what do you think?
It's the NFL, man. There'll be some GM that's going to trick himself to thinking that they're Aaron Rodgers away from like going to Super Bowl. It's going to be somebody. I don't know who exactly, but there's a quarterback play is a scarcity in the NFL, and teams will be desperate enough to give him a opportunity to play. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I will retire. I think I don't want to be regulated to like being somebody's scraps. Like the days of like the excitement of like him being highly sought after by a gluttony of teams because what he did 6-7 years ago is those times have gone. It's just he's pretty much stopgap guy. Like, could we get a year out of him and draft a guy and have him be tutelage to the next guy that we're going to draft? He's not the answer to like answering somebody's Super Bowl hopes as the last key cog. I think the last year he's shown that he is a rotten egg. It gives me I'm pleasantly surprised that the Jets have given Aaron Glenn the kind of autonomy to make that call. Maybe the Jets are serious then. Maybe they do want to win. To give Aaron Glenn the autonomy to make that call and be like, nah, bro, we don't want you here. Go find work. So to me, it's the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers. I think he's done, but a team will give him a shot just because of his name. Not so much his productivity on the field, but yeah. But I think it'll be a bad team. I can't see a good team willing to give him a chance based on what you saw last year.
Yeah, and I don't think you'll see like a team with like a young coach want him either. Like that. I think that was great for Aaron Glenn to basically be like, look, like I don't want this guy. Like, because he's going to cause a problem wherever he goes. And I think he's probably done, but I do think he's going to drag it out. And I think Tristan's right. I think the Raiders are probably the best option because they have a new coach, but it's the oldest coach in the league in Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll obviously, he's always in win now mode, has been, his whole life. He's a big competition guy. I don't know. It's very strange because we talked about this a few weeks ago. Tristan and I were talking about this, and it's like, Aaron Rodgers, 5 years ago, even still was, regarded as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Not that, he still is kind of in that group, but like he has fallen so far in a lot of people's eyes, and like, politics aside, just on his play on the field and like what he's become, he's become a total distraction off the field. And, he has this persona of being the smartest guy in the room, but he says some really dumb stuff a lot of the time. And that's okay whenever you're one of the best players ever. When you're not, it's like people don't have time for that kind of crap. So, I think that he's going to be humbled by the fact that not a ton of teams are going to give a shit that he's out there. And so I think he's going to have to retire. He'll probably sit like in a dark room for 3 weeks and think it over or something, or in a deprivation tank and really, really think it out. But I think we're done with Aaron Rodgers, and it's kind of a sad end for like one of the great players of the last 10, 15 years. But that's the way it goes. NFL keeps on moving, and so does this podcast. Let's wrap up our football talk with a couple of players that could be on the move this offseason. You've got Deebo Samuel's requested a trade from the Niners. Most importantly, Myles Garrett is done with the Browns. He wants to get out of there, and the Rams have told Cooper Kupp they're going to try to move him. Tristan, of those three players, who do you think is going to be on the move? You think all three are going to be on the move, and what's the most likely landing spot for those guys if you had to guess?
Ooh, Cooper Kupp is definitely on the move. Cooper Kupp was angling like to stay, like
Yeah,
awkwardly.
exactly. Yeah.
Hey man, they're trying to get rid of me. Like, I don't agree with this, but like, obviously, sir, like you want to keep your job. So he's definitely on the move. I don't see him retiring. Who picks him up? I could see a team like Carolina kind of picking him up, because I think
that makes sense.
Draft wise, I could see them going O-line. So instead of using that draft capital on a receiver, kick the tires on Cooper Kupp as a veteran receiver, another veteran receiver for your young quarterback. He and Thielen, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But who knows? Myles Garrett, the thing with Myles Garrett and the Browns is they don't really have a ton of leverage, because like they're so cap strapped because of the Deshaun Watson contract. They can't do anything about that without severely damaging their cap for like the next. I mean, their cap is already damaged, but like almost beyond repair for the next few years. So the best strategy would be to trade him, except that trading him leads to another cap hit. So like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yeah.
But I think if they can get some draft capital for him, rework, and the team he goes to can rework that contract, then maybe that gives them a little cap relief. I don't know. I'm not the cap expert. But he has to be on the move, because that situation is untenable. The Browns are going to essentially have to go the way of the Saints. It's like all your good players, we're just going to have to sell off and kind of start over.
Yeah.
That's how damaging the Deshaun Watson contract. Like they'll make documentaries about that contract. Debo, 49ers probably should have traded him last year.
Yeah.
Especially after they signed Ayuk. Like that signaled the end of one of those guys was going to be on this team in 2025, and it wasn't going to be both. For Debo, I mean, I kind of mentioned it yesterday. Like, come to death row. Like, the Chiefs have a need. Like, I think the Chiefs have a clear need for another big game, explosive guy on the outside who could also play in the backfield. Like I called him like an overqualified Jet McKinnon. A guy who can come out the backfield, get some yak, make guys miss in the open field. He's a really good blocker. Would he do it? I don't know. But I feel like the Chiefs would be the best spot for him. Outside of that, I don't know. But all three of those guys are on the move, for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, the Chiefs, that would be a great option for him. I mean, this year he was really most of his career he's been a better running back than he has been a wide receiver. So that would be a good fit. Frank, what do you think about those three players? And do you have any landing spots in mind for those guys?
Yeah, for Debo and Cooper, man, they're in very interesting predicaments, because they both make a lot of money. So whoever does agree to acquire them, they have to pretty much redo the contract, because Cooper's making $29 million next year and then 28 next year. And his play the last couple of years, or his play this year has not equated to the money he's making now. So don't be surprised if he gets cut, because I don't know many teams that's going to want to acquire that contract. He's 31 now. Yeah. I don't know many teams that's going to acquire that in this juncture of his career. So he might be a guy, and that's why the Rams are so hard set of like announced to the NFL, hey, he's on trading block, because they know it's a last ditch effort to try to move that contract. So he'll probably get cut, and he'll probably have his pick of teams that he wants to go to with a new contract. Debo is in a similar situation. I think he has 1 year left in his deal next year. And with the injuries the last couple of years, he just hasn't proven that he can stay on the field. And he looked like he was a little bit heavy this year, playing receiver. He had there was a drop off in play. He didn't look as explosive. So for whatever team that gets him, he'll probably be cut too, because again, I'm not giving up assets for a guy who is not going to be available to play for 16, 17 games. I think he's got 11 games this year too. So, and that's just how he's been the last 3 years. So I think both players will be cut and be free agents going into the spring. For Miles, it's going to have to be a team that has a lot of draft capital and cap space, because he's in the middle of a $140 million contract, and none of the good teams have the cap space to swallow that contract up, unless you give up players in return to make the money work. Because it's like Cleveland's got the cap space. They have a lot of dead money they're carrying over the next year and the year after that as well. So it'll be a team that it could be a playoff team that's willing to part ways with like a premier piece to acquire Myles Garrett and give up picks. That team, for which team, I don't know. And Myles wants to win too. So it's like, it's going to be really hard to find a playoff team that can take on that contract and be willing to give up picks, premium picks. Because if you're the Browns, you want picks in return. You want like a first and a third or 2 seconds, something in return to help fortify that roster moving forward. So it's probably going to be like a middle of the run, 9-18, 7-10 team, but has potential. So, and then we'll see if the Browns are willing enough to work with Myles to like try to give him to a team that he might want to prefer, but he doesn't have no trade clause, so they can send him anywhere, you know. So it's gonna be tough. Maybe the Chargers, maybe LA, maybe the Pats. If I'm Washington has $98 million in cap space. If I'm Washington, I'll make that move because they need.
That would be a good move, yeah.
Yeah, because Jalen Daniels is still in his rookie year of his contract for the next 4 years. Yeah, they have a lot of cap space this year. If I'm Washington, I'm making calls right now because that will help swing the influence of power in the NFC if you can acquire a talent like Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great point, especially with they're in the Eagles division, and I mean Jaden Daniels is in that division. He's obviously going to be a quarterback of the future in the NFC. So, well, that would be a key. That'd be a really nice move for them to keep up with Philadelphia. So, last thing I'll say, I didn't know this, but I was watching Hard Knocks, the AFC North edition of it, and I didn't know Myles Garrett is a minority owner of the Cavaliers. That was interesting. That was like the most interesting thing about the whole thing. I had no clue that he has a stake in the Cavs. So interesting stuff there. So Brittany, now it's your time. Jump back in. Let's talk about the Super Bowl halftime show featuring Kendrick Lamar. Brittany, take it away.
Man, I said it long before Super Bowl started, was that with all the beef that's been going on with Kendrick Lamar and Drake, the song Not Like Us, it won big at the Grammys recently. I mean, 5 Grammys K-Dot took home. And in my opinion, it was just like, how do you not perform that song at Super Bowl? Like you're the solo artist. Like if I'm not mistaken, he's the first solo hip hop rapper to ever perform in Super Bowl. So it's a huge moment. Obviously, he's brilliant, and I discussed this with Frank, you, Justin, George at work, and I'm like, he's gonna sing it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And it was like, well, maybe that kind of thing. No, I think he's just going to tease it. And it's like, okay, I just think that he's going to do it. Network said, don't do it. Network also told Snoop Dogg not to crip walk, and he still fucking did it, So that was just kind of my argument. So watching the performance, of course, which I thought it was so good it was such good storytelling. And like, I think a lot of people like miss the mark about it, but it was incredibly great storytelling. I felt in the very beginning, like in a way my people were represented because of all the people jumping out of that damn car. Like, how do you fit so many people in one car? But I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, his Uncle Sam, I was like, oh my God, like we're going there. Like we're actually going there. It was it was incredible. You get cameo appearances of Serena Williams. And I always mispronounce her name. The other performer, the one he's going on tour with. Someone help me out here. I always mispronounce her name.
SZA.
SZA, thank you. Good Lord. I want to say scissors, like an idiot, but like, you know, my bad. She was wonderful. Her vocals live were amazing, especially when she's singing All the Stars. And then I told Frank this too. I was super impressed with the ability of Kendrick's control over his breathing, to not be like just winded, out of breath, whatever you would call it. I mean, because not only is he just there rapping, like he is moving about, he's kind of, you know, dancing a little bit, and he's, you know, walking through and what have you, and he's, you know, picking up the cadence and what have you. And I'm like, that's, as a former singer, like breathing control is everything. And he just did it without like really breaking a sweat. But the time came when we got the tease of Not Like Us. And I loved how he phrased it, how it's like, you know, this is everyone's favorite song, but, you know, they like to sue. Let me think about this. And I'm like, he's going to do it. He's going to fucking do it later. And he fucking did it. Fucking did it later. And for the whole stadium to, in unison, say A minor the way that they did it, I'm just like, he called out Drake, the look to the camera with the smile. I mean, that meme is viral at this point, right? So when we share that meme, y'all, we're giving the business, okay? Like we're not playing anymore. Like we're giving the business. It was diabolical. It was incredible. I enjoyed it. I screamed at one point, I'm sure, like many others. I thought it was great. Game over, done. There's no coming back from this. Like, it's over. It literally is over. I want to get Frank and Tristan's take on this halftime performance. Whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead, T.
Well, me? I get long-winded. Okay. First, regarding Not Like Us, as Frank knows, I've been saying this for months. There was a 200% chance that he was playing it. Outside, I think we have to kind of take it out of the context of the whole Drake part of it, especially like the suing, the content of the song, particularly that first verse. This is not just one of Kendrick Lamar's biggest songs. This is not just one of the biggest songs of 2024 and now 2025. This is not just one of the biggest rap songs ever. This is one of the biggest songs by any metric ever, right? It was going to get played. You know, already you're on Fox, FCC, you're already going to, you know, blank out a lot of things that'll be said, a lot of words. Pedophile. He didn't say pedophile. He let the audience obviously, you know, scream A minor at the top of their lungs, famously. He was absolutely positively going to play that song. And not just because this is an anti-Drake song. Like, again, I firmly believe that so much from Kendrick's perspective, a large part of his beef with Drake is not just about who's the best rapper. I think in Kendrick's mind, logical, reasonable people who have always known who's the best rapper, right? It's not about who's the bigger star, all this thing. It's a clear line in the sand about this is what I represent, you know, on a morality side, on the state of hip hop, like the way that people treat the game of hip hop. treat the sport, treat the art, treat the culture. Like all these things, it's a clear line in the sand. So on one end, yeah, he's going to play it because the song is so big, but he's going to play it because the song is the crescendo of his overall message, at least since, 2024 started, which is like, hey, this is what I stand for. This is how I want to represent the culture of hip hop, Black culture, all these things. And I simply think that you are an impediment to the culture, right? That was his viewpoint on Drake. So this public flogging of Drake is not just about, a victory lap with his rap beef. This is about, I think Kendrick legitimately wants him out of here, like for good. And Super Bowl is the biggest stage to do that. So like there's so many different things playing out in the course of like how he chose his set list. Like this whole thing was a story. If you watch his pre-Super Bowl interview with Ebro, Nadeska, the Apple Music interview, press conference or whatever you want to call it, like he talked about, they asked him like, hey, what can we expect from this performance? And he said one word, he said storytelling. And this thing tells a story. Samuel L. Jackson is the MC, but he also kind of plays a similar role, a dual role as like Kendrick's conscious, right? Like playing the game. The whole set, if you see it from above, it's kind of set up like a PlayStation controller. You have your triangle, circle, X, square. You talk about playing the game. Kendrick starts out with an unreleased snippet from the GNX trailer, which no one's heard. And he added more lyrics to it, standing on top of a GNX car, and then as he's, rapping, he has dancers coming out of the car, like it's 50 dancers or something like that coming out like it's a clown car. That represents something, right? Like, hey, this is Compton, this is LA, and we're invading this space. Like, I'm bringing everybody with me, and you see kind of Samuel L. Jackson interject after every few songs, like, hey, like this is too ghetto, this is too ghetto, like, tighten it up. Then you see Kendrick start playing the hits, like the damn hits, Humble, DNA. He works his way, he's playing, Man in the Garden. Samuel L. Jackson's like, hey, you brought your homeboys, right? Every single time that Samuel L. Jackson interjects, like it's a transition to a different portion of the story until we get to Not Like Us. Like, and he's like, hey, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Like, hey, again, playing the game. Like, don't go too far. Don't fly too close to the sun. And Kendrick essentially is like, fuck that. Like, this is a show. This is the story I want to present. I don't want to do the Super Bowl like everybody's done. Super Bowl traditionally is like a nod to the greatest hits for everybody, with the exception of like, the Weeknd. But even the Weeknd, like, you got Blinding Lights, you got,
right.
A lot of these after hours tracks, but he's also giving you some of the older hits as well. A lot of our legacy acts, like they're giving you stuff from different decades and stuff like that before we got to our more hip hop centric performances. And he's like, no, this is me now. Like, this is me. This is the story I want to tell. These are the songs from an album that just came out, 3 months ago. And this is what I'm giving you, and you're going to accept that. And he's rapping. Like, there's no backing track. He is completely rapping every single thing. He's, very little hooks. Like, it's a lot of rapping. The only hooks that are really being played outside of Humble are SZA singing those hooks. So I thought it was a masterful performance. I think it was just one of the best rap performances that we've seen, because there's no conformity. There's no, okay, I'm going to give you the same songs that I gave you the last time I came in on the Super Bowl. I'm not giving you All Right. I'm not giving you these Good Kid, Mad City songs. I'm not giving you like stuff that you've already heard. This is me now, and I'm living in the present. And that's been a central theme of his post-beef. He's like, I'm living in the present. So much of GNX is him talking about being in the present, living in the now, and not focusing too much on the past or the future. So masterful performance, as you can see, it's my GOAT. And last thing I'll say is, I see people talking about like him, playing Not Like Us. He played Euphoria. Oh my God. Talking about like him making so much of this about Drake and kind of rehashing my earlier point, like it's not really about Drake, it's about what Drake represents. And two, I am all for it as somebody who grew up on Michael Jordan, who grew up on Kobe Bryant, who grew up on Tom Brady, who now is living through Mahomes. Like I'm all for my GOATs. I'm all for like my greats, like being so competitive that they just feel the need to curb stomp somebody forever. Like for me, if I'm bullying somebody, it's a continuous thing. Like like this is the song that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. Like I'm all for like just completely stomping somebody as much as possible every chance you get, so they never come back. Like that's the art of war. You know what I'm saying? Like you kill your opponent. You don't overkill them past what you want, but like you kill them to the point where it's effective. And it's Drake somewhere, well, I know where he's at. He's down under in Australia, heated, and I think Kendrick relishes in that. Like I think Kendrick was like, I want to see how upset you really can get. You know what I'm saying? So I applaud it. Kendrick is just continuously moving himself up, not even just like the greatest rappers list, but like the greatest performers of our generation and beyond. So phenomenal show. I've watched it at least 4 times just today. So shout out to the GOAT.
So Move Over Sun Tzu. It's all about lamb chop, and this is a song that never ends.
That never ends. It just goes on and on.
Frank, what are your thoughts on the halftime show?
Unlike the Chiefs game, I foresaw this almost a year ago in April. I was in Atlanta for a weekend, and this is when Tristan and I had a discussion about like what does Drake do, and when Like That came out, I pleaded to Arbery and the Arbery clan, like, bro, keep making your pop music, keep touring, making money, keep doing what you do. This is Thanos without the glove. This is like you can't beat him with the glove. And I think Like That was the glove with all 6 Infinity Stones. Like That was a warning shot. Like That was a time stone. And when Drake didn't listen, he came back with Euphoria, which was the Power Stone. And came back with Family Matters, which was the Reality Stone. And then
Meet the Grams, Family Man.
I'm sorry, huh? Meet the Grams. Yeah, Meet the Grams. And then he put the glove on with Not Like Us. And I pleaded with Tristan. I'm like, bro, if you're Drake, you have to understand who you are as a person. This is a constant example of like a man not having people around him to stir him the right direction. When you have yes men and when you have people that just benefit of making money off of you and not giving you sound advice on like what to do and what not to do. If there was any real men in this camp, any real women in this camp, they would have said, hey man, just keep making your songs. Go make First Shooter Part 2. Go make some Caribbean colonizer song that you're gonna copy off and rip off the Jamaicans and call it as your own. Go make these songs that you continue to make and make money off. Be a SoundCloud rapper. Make these little like Kendrick said in Euphoria. Keep making songs that make me want to dance. That is your lane, bro. You're not a battle rapper. Like you got embarrassed by Pusha T, and a big reason why the culture didn't forget that, but a big reason why mainstream music forgot about that because Pusha T is not at the level that Kendrick is. Kendrick is at that level. He is a global superstar. And yesterday was a coronation on national television. On global, that was a coronation with 200 countries tuning in of a new monarch coming in and stating their claim and showing the rest of the 200 realms that I'm that nigga that you can't fuck with. And if any other rapper comes at me, I want you to go back to this day of what I did to the most popular rapper in music. I have him in Sydney right now. He's not even in this time zone. He's not even in this hemisphere. I ran him away. He is away. He's been exiled from this place. Don't let that be you. This was a coronation and a warning shot to every other rapper, every other artist that even thinks about coming towards Black Thanos' way. Because you're not going to win. Dr. Strange once said there's 14 million. We saw 14 million different scenarios in this one. But here's the problem. I saw 80 million, no, I saw 80 billion different scenarios, and there's no other way. This was the way. When Drake set forth this path a year ago, no, I'm sorry. When Drake set forth this path in 2013, when he bitched, moaned, and complained about Kendrick calling his name out amongst the other dozen rappers he did on this Control verse, when he complained in 2013, that was his fate. He sealed his fate. And Kendrick had been begging him to jump out there and say his name and don't use subliminal shots. And I think after a while, Kendrick just like, fuck it. I'm gonna have to just end you now. Like, think about this. Kendrick was on the verge of retirement a couple years ago due to his mental health. This gave him a new lease on life. You gave one of the greatest rappers, he was about to walk away his retirement papers. You gave him purpose now, bro. He's about to go on the world tour on your dime. He's about to go to your city on Father's Day and Crip Walk Not Like Us twice. Two show appearance in Toronto. This is Aubrey's fault. This is Aubrey's fault, and this is Aubrey's mentorships and the people in his circle. This is your fault. That coordination last night was the shortcomings of you not having the right people around you to say, you know what, I'm just gonna walk away and let Kendrick have that lane. I'll stay in this lane. Like, you left your Degrassi lane and got into a lane that you had no business being in. The culture has already been very shaky on you from the minute you step forth and rap. But because you made good music and music that make people dance, people kind of gave you a pass. That pass is gone now. You need to make residence in Australia. Don't come back. That's it.
So that's his next move.
Go send that man to Australia like James Baldwin moving to Paris. Like
he can't come back. He can't come back. No.
Hey Frank, what did George say was Drake's only move?
He had to shoot him. that's the only other way. like you can't it's Drake has a son. Adnan has seen his dad get punked on a global scale. If you're Adnan, is that his name? Adonis, I'm sorry. If you're Adonis and you watch your father get embarrassed at this global scale, like, you gotta find a new dad, bro. Like, you have to add, you have to call Kendrick and see that if he'll adopt you. Like, this is, bro. If that was my dad, bro, I'd change my last name. My last name would be like Duckworth. That's Kendrick's last name. You don't know. Like, it's like he's embarrassed your bloodline. Like, Adonis can't have kids now, bro. He can't have kids now because his bloodline embarrassed him so bad. Like, he's done. He's done, bro. Go be a painter. Do something that's so far away from rap. You can't be entertainment. You can't. Go be a real estate agent. Go be a school teacher. Like, do something that's away from the art of rap. Like, yeah, it's over, man. It's over.
I just shared here in the chat that I actually used to watch Aubrey Graham on the Canadian TV show Degrassi. And when Aubrey's character, Jimmy Brooks, was, had this big storyline. He got shot in a school shooting. He's paralyzed from the waist down, et cetera, trying to navigate life post being shot. He struggled, right? And then he's like, oh, being optimistic and blah, blah, blah. Then he starts getting into rap. He starts maybe I can do this. I want to pursue this in my career. And that's how Aubrey transitioned out of television acting into the rap world. So what I'm hearing, Frank, he can't even do that at this point. He can't go back and play a handicapped character on a teenage melodrama, anymore.
He's playing in real life. He's a handicapped person in real life now. This is like he is Jimmy in real life.
Yeah.
He's handicapped, bro. Like his career got taken away from him. The way Kendrick smiled at the camera when he said, "Hey Drake," that's gonna live in TV history. That was on network television, bro. That wasn't MTV. That wasn't like BT centric. That wasn't like Tubi. That was national television. That was, bro. He smiled at you and on national television and said your name, bro. That would never be forgotten.
No,
I'm so against having. I don't want to have kids. Now I'm thinking about having kids just so I can tell my kids what I saw on February 9th, 2025. Like you have to pass the story down for generations. This is the Targaryen prophecy. You have to pass it down from generation to generation to generation.
Not the Targaryen prophecy.
This can't be forgotten. This has to go. This has to go from father to son for the next 1,000 years. Like this is
Song of Ice and Fire,
bro. That was a frogging. That's an understatement. That was a coronation that the world saw of a man's career ending. Like this, like Drake. Aubrey is. He's not Drake. He's Aubrey now. Aubrey is done, bro. Like there's nothing you can do now. There's nothing like, and what makes it so funny is that prior to yesterday, the man he sued UMG Music. He tried to get the song taken off the radio. Like it's like I'm watching a movie and like the director saying, you know what? Let's write this story from the end and go to the beginning. Let's destroy this person, but show how he got destroyed by showing like Quentin Tarantino like flashbacks of what happened. That's what we saw over the last 9 months. This was a delimition of like beautiful proportions. Like this is Thanos winning. Mm-hmm. This is Endgame. This is like this is Avengers Infinity War, and that's the end. There's no Endgame. This is Thanos winning. But those who are Marvel fanatics who wants a what if of like Thanos winning, you don't need it. You saw it last night. That's the what if Thanos won.
So in this scenario, does Drake have to assemble the Avengers, or maybe the Dark Avengers? And we'll get to that in a second with Thunderbolts. But
so, real quick on that, because I saw somebody put in the chat like this. This is the Chiefs of Mahomes and Drake villain arc. Here's the thing, real quick, and I don't want to go too long on this. Drake has been in his villain arc for years now. Like I think there's been a huge turn in like the content of his music. I would say really since about 2016-ish, the music has gotten darker. The content has gotten darker. The sounds are darker. He's adopted more of this like mob boss, misogynistic, tone, like just worldview. Like he's lost a lot of his female audience. Like his music is more tailored towards aggrieved males. You know what I'm saying? Like loser males, I would say, like incelish. Like he's been in the villain arc, so it's not like, okay, I was wrong and I'm coming back for revenge. Like this is a comeuppance, you know what I'm saying? This is like karma, justice, you know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have that to play. He doesn't have that, I'm coming back. No, we've seen you be exposed time after time that this super menacing guy, that this role that you're playing, like is Degrassi, like your wheelchair Jimmy, like this is not you, and it doesn't serve you. Like you've been robbed how many times? You've been slapped, you've been pissed on, you've been like, like you were not the guy to play this role. This is not your role. The best role you've ever played is like this lover boy, you know what I'm saying? Like this aggrieved lover boy who can't get romance right. Like that's the best he's ever been, you know what I'm saying? So like the villain arc is dead. Like Kendrick killed the villain. Pusha really killed, Pusha put a huge dent in it, and Kendrick just came and sliced his head off. But like that character is done. You know what I'm saying? His best bet is to come back on, like he's trying to do with Party Next Door, like his album is dropping, as the lover guy. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm making sexy songs for the women, and we'll see if the women are still there. You know, like that'll be a big test. We keep talking about, is Drake over? And it's hard to, like, nobody's ever really over, you know, today. Like, as long as you have a dedicated fan base, even if it's a niche fan base, you're never truly over. But if he does not have the women on this next album, on this collab album with Party Next Door, then it's officially over. Because women have been the ones who sustained him from the beginning, honestly. When
he was losing women last year, though. He's been losing the women population starting last year.
They're completely gone. Like, we know, like a large, it's like fucking, you know, politics. Like, hey, you've lost 55% of the women vote. If you lose 80 to 90% of the women vote, it's over. Like, you might as well not even run. You know what I'm saying? So if he loses all of it, then we know it's over, because we've been calling Drake lame. Even when we thought the music was good, we were like, oh, this music is jamming, but he's lame. You know, now it's like the music's not even as good and he's lamer. So if he loses that, then yeah, it's completely over.
Listen, I'll be the one to say it. I'm not here for it. Like, I removed Drake from my Spotify a long time ago, and I just had to double check and make sure I didn't. The only thing I have Drake on, it's a collaboration he had with Romeo Santos, one of my all-time favorite Latin, hotties. And it's a very poor attempt on Drake's part to sing in Spanish, and it's cringe. But he ain't got me. Frank, go ahead, please.
I don't know, man. I think he's regulated to just doing birthday requests at 13-year-old girls' birthday parties now. I really don't know.
He cannot do a 13-year-old birthday party.
I mean, supervised, of course. He can't
do it. Like, somebody's gonna take a video of that and then
put an asterisk in that.
Oh my God, no,
bro! It's gonna have to be like Australia, Japan, like that eastern side of the world. Like, he's so done. Like, and this is what I was trying to say last year. Once you get into this lane of competing outside of your lane, you in totality destroy the lane that you were favored in. And now he's been so much exposed now. I don't know if people are going to respect him enough to even like waste money going to his tours. Look where he's at, bro. He's not in Maryland. He's not in Canada. He's in fucking Australia, dog. That tells you a lot. And he's been there for what, a week? Like, he hasn't left. Like, he's performing in Australia because right now that's where he can get shows. They're not selling out. And that's the thing. Like, imagine not selling out. Now, imagine coming to the US and trying to do shows now. Nobody's gonna go, bro. Like, he destroyed the one genre, the one audience that he did have by getting to a beef he wasn't well equipped to even fight in. And now it's like you lost the little respect and little excitement you had from your fan base. It's now gone. Bro, Kendrick Duckworth literally smiled and said your name on national television, and it went global to 200 countries. There are people in Uzbekistan who don't want to see you now, bro. There are people in like Eurasia and like parts of the Middle East who like, oh no, don't come here. We're pro Kendrick now. I've never seen anything like this before. This is on a global scale. On a global scale, he might be done on Earth. He might have to go get on the Astro with like Elon Musk and like find another audience and just rewrite his whole career again. He's done, bro. When it comes to Earth, he's done. There's nowhere on the crevice of this planet that he's gonna be relevant enough to sell out tours.
Send him to another realm like Marvel.
So, Frank, what you're saying is he won't be playing the Super Bowl next year.
He needs to find another Drake variant and switch places. He's done, bro. He's done in this realm. I'm telling you, he's done.
Well, he's always welcome on our podcast. So, Drake, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show.
I have some things to say to him.
Please. It'll help boost our subscribers.
We would love it. We would love it. Also, he's a fan of like every sports team, so like he probably knows some stuff. He could probably talk some football or basketball.
Also,
right?
he lives like just outside of Houston, doesn't he? So, I mean,
Oh, that's right. He does have a Houston
keep it local. Hey,
residence. There we go.
we'll go into the studio with you if you want.
Local. Yeah, we love it. So obviously an epic halftime show, and for a lot of people, the Super Bowl is not just about the game. It's not just about the halftime show. It's also about the commercials. So let's talk about that as we wrap up. Really for me, I thought the commercials were kind of hit or miss, and there weren't too many hits. However, there was one big hit for me. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about the Thunderbolts trailer. This is like the second or third trailer from the Thunderbolts movie. It's dropping May 2nd. It will be the 36th Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. If you're watching this on YouTube now, I'm going to play the trailer. No audio, just the video going while we talk about it. Brittany, I'll start with you. What'd you think about this trailer? This about a 2.5 minute trailer that is promoting the movie that comes out May 2nd.
So having just watched it this morning with y'all, because I think a lot of us actually didn't have the opportunity to watch the trailer online. We did see the teaser drop during Super Bowl, as you had mentioned, and it said trailer now online. So seeing how like this team up is actually going to work, it appears that Bucky more or less is like the leader of this, and I'm so excited to see his banter with the Red Guardian, solely because of the episode that we saw on the final season of What If, right? I can't wait to see that actually play out in this movie. I don't have a good working knowledge of course, the villain in this movie. I'm going to let Frank talk about the villain or Sentry, spoiler guys, but seeing how, like Elena says in the trailer, that they can't fly, they are pretty limited as to these like powers, if you will. They're just pretty grounded type people, and they're not heroes, right? But they're gonna have to figure out how to work together as a team in order to be like the heroes that this place needs, because the Avengers are not coming. So I have questions, of course. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this all plays out, and I think it's going to be a really good movie. I'm hoping to not be disappointed. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, look, Frank, I want to get your thoughts, because this trailer, this is the first one we actually got to see Sentry, and give us a little background on the character, and what do you think this character's role will be in this film?
Yeah, so the character Sentry, his name is Robert Reynolds. He's an addict, drug addict. This is back in the 50s. He finds remnants of a serum that's was recreated over and over again. Again, it's another story of like some mad scientists trying to recreate the Captain America serum, super soldier serum. He found a variation of it. I think it's called the Sentry serum. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it's a variation of it. He takes it, and it gives him powers, even more power from Captain America. Like it gives him he's pretty much Marvel Superman. Like he has no weaknesses. He has the power of like 1 million exploding suns. He can absorb radiation. He can shoot out energy projections. He's invulnerable to all poisons and a crazy healing factor. The one dysfunction about him is that with him having PTSD and personality disorder, it strengthens his personality disorder, and he has a alter ego called the Void, and the Void is pretty much the antithesis of who he is as a person, and that's the villain, is that alter ego. Robert Reynolds, a person, is a kind person. He's he actually in the comic books he seeks help for the Avengers to try to fix him, and this character I'm kind of concerned only from the standpoint that he's so overpowered. Like he's more powerful than Thor. Like he's a very, very powerful individual, but he's in this grounded movie with grounded heroes. I feel like he'll be better suited in an Avengers movie. So I don't know how much it's going to work. but he does become eventually in the comic books. He works aside with the Avengers, so I don't know if that's where it's going to go. He may transition to other movies. This could be his introduction to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I mean, he's a great character, man. He's a very, very powerful character. I wonder if they're going to depower him for the movie and make him a little less powerful, like he is in the comic books. We'll see. But no, he's a great character. I mean, it's been rumored that he was supposed to show up in Marvel for the last 4 or 5 years, and now we finally get him. So
yeah, he's going to be played by Lewis Pullman. Bill Pullman's son will play Sentry, aka Bob, which obviously shortened for Robert Reynolds. I've read a little bit about the character, and Frank's right. This is a character who is more than an Omega level threat. So he's one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel comics. So you're right. It's going to be interesting how these mostly, these human anti-heroes who just, punch and kick and shoot guns are going to be able to face off with him and his alter ego, the Void, which you see the Void in the trailer kind of taking over. That's the dark cloud that kind of is overtaking things, which not to be confused with the Void from Loki. I think they're separate, or maybe they're going to tie them together here in the MCU, but I know in the comics there were different things. So that's an interesting wrinkle for this film. Tristan, I want to get your thoughts on this movie. This is basically like Marvel's answer to Suicide Squad, a very, very similar kind of premise where you have, instead of Amanda Waller running the Suicide Squad, you have Valentina de Allegra, played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus, and she's in charge of the Thunderbolts, which are named after Thunderbolt Ross, who we're going to see in Captain America: Brave New World this week. What are your thoughts on this this team up movie that is coming out in May?
I'm excited. I think this is a good. I won't call it it's not a reset, but like I think Marvel has done a better job at like pointed characters and not just kind of throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. It's kind of living off the past formula, the last phase. I will say, like, I was barely paying attention when the trailer came on last night, and I saw Yelena, which made me think like, oh, like just really quickly. I'm like, and I was also high. I was like, oh, a new Black Widow. And then I remember really quick, I'm like, oh, no more Black Widow. And I got sad. With that said, I'm very excited for this. Like, I'm a big fan of Yelena as a character, big fan of Bucky. Everybody else, like I'm very excited for this. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this movie a lot because much like the Fantastic Four trailer, which came out Tuesday of last week, this is another team up movie. And this is what I think that the MCU has been missing in phases 4 and 5, where we haven't had these. We've had all these characters, this expansion of the roster, so to speak, but none of them have been connected. So now you're kind of starting to connect characters. You're having teams come into the MCU. You're building new teams. Part of Captain America: Brave New World, which once again is coming out this week, is Sam is kind of being charged with putting together, reassembling the Avengers, whoever's left of the Avengers, and bringing in, I would assume, like Shang-Chi and those kind of characters, which are not going to be in the movie, by the way, but that's kind of his goal being Captain America. And here you have Bucky and Yelena. They're kind of forming their own little team, and obviously the Fantastic Four will join the fray in July. So I'm excited that we're getting back to that as we build up to, there's 2 big Avengers movies coming up in 2026 and 2027. And so you got to kind of, start putting the people on the field for the game to take form. So really cool stuff. Let's go to the chat. Brittany, there's a comment here from Travis Mitchell. And Travis, we appreciate you joining us. He says, I think part of the reason this team is assembled is they've all been brainwashed in some way by a program. So they have the best chance of dealing with them, meaning the Sentry. That could be it. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Marvel handles a Superman-like character, and especially in the same summer that we're going to have Superman, hit theaters for DC. So this could be a good year for superhero stuff. I mean, if Captain America Brave New World is good, and kind of the word on the street now is it's like the people who have seen it say it's like a it's a fine middle of the road Marvel movie, which, hey, I'll take it. That's great. I think the rest of the movie slate, superhero wise, you got this in May, you've got Superman in July, and then you've got later in July, you've got Fantastic Four, coupled with Daredevil Born Again, which drops in March. I think this could be a big year for the superhero genre to kind of make a little bit of a comeback after a couple of years slump. Frank, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think the slate is perfect. I think you're not overwhelming us with just movies every quarter. I like that there's a gap from Fantastic Four until next year for the next big movie. Now, if you do that, you gotta make sure you hit and you land with like great teasers and great post-credit scenes and things that flow into next year to have people waiting. I think part of what made get my faces mixed up. Whatever phase that Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War was in.
Phase three. Yep.
Well, I think part of what made phase 3 so great was the ending of Avengers Infinity War. Cats were on the edge of their seats for a year. Like for a year. And then you have movies sprinkled in there, Captain Marvel and Spider-Man Far From Home, like to kind of, taste your get your taste buds a little bit wet, but they stuck the landing on those endings of those films going into the following year for the next big feature film. And so with Captain America, Fantastic Four, and Daredevil, I think you have to create storylines that are so strong that can create a nuance and an interesting element to keep people on the edge of their seats. If you do that, then cool. Going in Avengers Doomsday next year, there'll be excitement. I mean, there'll be excitement already because some people are coming back for Avengers Doomsday, but it has to make sense. And I think if you hit it and you create that oh my god, holy shit moment in one of these 3 movies going into next year, I think it's going to create a lot of like excitement for 2026. I am a big Anthony Mackie fan. I love the guy. I grew up watching him. I think he'll do a wonderful job. And I've spoken to Justin about this on numerous occasions. I am a little bit nervous though, because what Captain America represents is like, freedom and, fighting for what's right and all that. But also what comes with that is a lot of crazy white folks who do not like change, who don't like what their symbol looks like and what they've been accustomed to seeing for so long. This is a very old character that goes back to the 1940s, 1950s. And one thing that Falcon and Winter Soldier showed me was even in a small role with Agent Walker, people were upset that he even used the moniker Captain America. They sent him death threats. It was so bad he had to get off of Twitter, and that's a white man. So it's like I am a little bit nervous to see how received Anthony Mackie's Captain America performance is going to be, and how people enjoy it. Look, Chris Evans has said all the right things. Anthony Mackie has shared some stories on a couple of talk shows about how Chris is excited for him and how Endgame came about and how Chris knew the script before Anthony Mackie even knew the script, or how it was going to pass over to him. So Chris is doing all the right things of like pretty much passing the helm to Anthony.
Shield,
the shield, literally the shield to Anthony. Yeah. I just hope that he's well received, man, because America can be a very fucked up racist place. So, we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think it's important to note that, even like Chris Evans, Captain America in the Marvel movies, it's not like he's like just like this pro-America dude. Like he is Captain America. Like he even said in an interview years ago, like it's not really Captain America. He's more Captain Good, so he just happens to be from America. And that's the name of the character, but it's, Cap is the same character, whether, wherever you are in the world, just like with Superman. Like, Superman, it used to be Truth, Justice, and the American Way, and then they change it to Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow because Superman is a global character, not just for the U.S. Despite being created in Cleveland or in Ohio. I want to finish up this just mentioning the Thunderbolts obviously has an asterisk at the end of it, and a lot of rumors that the movie at the end of the movie the characters will be referred to as the Dark Avengers. So I think that's interesting to note as we head into an Avengers movie very soon. And we talk about the gap between movies in this year and into 2026. Fantastic Four is July. The next movie is not until May 2026. That'll be Doomsday, meaning Robert Downey Jr. becomes Doctor Doom, and there's very strong likelihood that he will be in a post-credit scene for Fantastic Four. So I think Marvel is going to be all the way back this summer. Just after seeing the trailers for these two movies, and obviously I think Captain America is going to do better than people expect. So looking forward to that. Brittany, you have any other final thoughts on this Thunderbolts trailer or anything else Marvel?
I think the couple of questions that I would like this movie to answer first and foremost is because the fact that it is named Thunderbolts, and Thunderbolt is the nickname of one Thaddeus Ross, whom we sadly lost William Hurt a couple of years ago. That is the actor who played Thunderbolt Ross, who's of course recast by the one and only Harrison Ford. I am curious, of course, to see what the name change may be, because you just mentioned about the asterisk in the title of this movie. So that's one, but then also get an explanation as to why Thunderbolt Ross is not actually heading up this team up, right?
I think I can answer the question.
No, I want the movie to answer it for me.
Okay, well,
go ahead. That's fine.
Here's what I'll say. I think that they're going to be named the Thunderbolts in honor of Thunderbolt Ross because he is going to become Red Hulk in Brave New World, which happens before this movie. I think that, I don't think that he becomes Red Hulk by his own decision. I think someone turns him into Red Hulk because obviously Thaddeus Ross is not a big fan of the Hulk, and I don't think he wants to become a Hulk. But
maybe he does. Who knows?
Maybe he does. But I think there's someone who is working in the background that turns Thaddeus Ross, who's the president, into Red Hulk, and that's what we see.
Yeah, but it's like when you're president and you think you have all the power and you want all the power. I don't know. Interesting climate.
Yeah. The timing of this movie is very interesting given what's happening.
I'm just saying, I'm connecting the dots. That's all I have to say about that.
Gotcha. Tristan, anything else about Thunderbolts or Marvel or what you're looking forward to this summer?
Mission Impossible. That's it.
Mission Impossible. They had to drop the trailer also. Yeah.
That's
the final reckoning. Yeah.
I will be seated.
I call bullshit on that reckoning. Just saying. Tom Cruise is going to keep making movies as long as he humanly can.
I'm not in on the Mission Impossible movies. I'm going to have to get caught up on those to kind of have an opinion on that stuff.
I'll rewatch all of them like every 2 to 3 years. Every single one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the stunt work is amazing and visually they look cool. I've never really jumped into those movies, but they're all on Paramount Plus. So they're all available. You can check them out there. And finally, are there any other commercials from the Super Bowl y'all want to talk about? Anything else that caught your eye that you want to mention?
The only commercial I cared about besides the trailer, the Nike commercial, female athletes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
that was my favorite commercial in some years, honestly. My white daughter, Caitlin Clark, amongst others, were in there. Phenomenal commercial. Love the message. Like, hey, they say you can't do it, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like paraphrasing. That was my favorite commercial out of all of them.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Say you can't win, go win.
Yep. Frank, any commercial you want to shout out?
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't remember any commercials. I was doing a commercial break. I went downstairs to cook, and and kind of grieve. So I don't I don't remember any. I saw a few, but like none of them that were funny in my. I didn't see anything. I didn't see night commercial that Tristan's talking about because I was going up and down cooking and stuff. So no, I don't. The only thing I really just rewatched was the halftime performance, but from what I remember, nothing caught my attention. Nothing really like I mean, typically you get like a funny Doritos commercial or a Budweiser commercial that's kind of steals the show. I didn't. Nothing caught my attention that I can remember our memory that was like, oh shit, that's iconic. I remember that. Nah,
the Tostino's commercial was fucking weird. Okay, with the alien thing and it gets squished by the door of its spacecraft.
Yeah, George showed me that one. I missed that one last night. Yeah.
That was weird. I missed the seal commercial, and I'm kind of glad I missed it because that again looked weird.
That was horrible.
I did see the commercial Tristan talked about for Nike. A friend of mine I went to elementary with who currently, she did play for the LA Aces, actually just went over to Indiana Fever. So she will be playing with your white daughter, Tristan. So shout out to Sydney Colson. And
did you bow?
He did namaste.
He did namaste. Yeah. So that was cool. There was another commercial that was very female driven. It was about having women varsity flag football teams available in all 50 states. So which I thought that was a really powerful commercial. I really enjoyed that as well. I saw the Jurassic World Rebirth, whatever the fuck that title is. I love that Jonathan Bailey is in it. I love Scarlett Johansson. I don't believe in the franchise anymore. It should have stopped after the first one. Okay. That's just my personal opinion.
Make too much money.
With that said.
Okay.
I will be seated. I will be seated.
I'm going, bro. I love dinosaurs. I'm there, bro. Premiering, and we better do a pod about it because my black ass will be there.
Fucking seated. I watched this shit and I was like, I can't believe they're still making this shit. I will be there. I will be there. Yeah.
It's the 7th film in the Jurassic Park / World franchise. Yeah.
I'll be there, man.
I will say in favor of Jurassic Park, because I recently went to Orlando, Velocicoaster, all y'all mother effers need to get on that ride. It is amazing. I don't care if you don't like roller coasters. This is one roller coaster you need to get on and experience because, oh my God, so good. So good.
No. No.
I tried.
I made a vow. No more. No more roller coasters.
No more roller coasters.
There are no more women to impress. Getting on a roller coaster. I'm sorry. No.
Man.
If you got back issues like I do, I don't think it's good for you to do roller coasters anymore.
All right. Within reason.
That's a young man's game. Yeah, it's a young man's game.
Oh yeah, because you're so old. Anyway.
Old enough. Trust me.
Okay. Fine.
As far as commercials for me, there was a Matt Damon, David Beckham commercial that I thought was kind of funny, but honestly, gun to my head, I could not tell you what the product was. I can't remember if it was AI, if it was crypto, if they were
Stella Artois.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there it was a beer commercial. Cool.
Belgian beer commercial.
If y'all will allow me a very quick rant.
I thought you were sitting down. Jesus.
I talked about this yesterday during the game. One of the bigger things that I've noticed, a lot of people have noticed about commercials is like, you mentioned, like, what are they selling? Right? Like, we see so much shock value on, hey, celebrities, okay, bunch of animals, a seal, like, what are you actually selling? And I was telling Frank, like, companies have run out of like innovative things to like market and sell, like new things. Like, you're not seeing Super Bowl commercials for the new iPhone, right? Like, iPhone's the same pretty much every year. Like, a lot of the things that companies are selling are the same. So like, they don't have innovation to sell. They sell star power. Like, so you get Matt Damon and whoever in this commercial, like, what the fuck are you actually selling? Like, how can you effectively tell me why this beer is a better product than the other beer that's in your market? Like, they've run out of that thing instead of saying, hey, we can get the biggest celebrity and we can tie our brand to this celebrity or to this meme or there's whatever internet thing that's going viral that we can kind of steal from. But companies have just kind of run out of innovation. So like that's reflected in our commercials. Like outside of this Nike ad, when's the last time you saw a big Nike ad? You know,
yeah.
Jordan just had a really good one because they're bringing back the Band Ones. Like that's the first time we've seen like a really big, innovative Jordan brand ad in years. You know, these shoe companies, Adidas, Reebok, New Balance, like it's just like, hey, here are our athletes. There's dancing. They're not even speaking in these commercials. So like, that's what I want to see more of. More innovation, more personality, more explaining why the product, like sell the product. They're not selling products anymore. They're selling star power.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Tristan, because they had Glenn Powell as a Goldilocks.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was like for a Ram truck commercial.
Dodge Rams, yeah.
Yeah, or something like that. It's just very, very silly, very bizarre, but that was the product that they're trying to like sell. This Dodge Ram truck.
But that one did have more of the product than some of the other commercials.
It did.
Where it was just like,
Again,
you could not remember what it was about.
In comparison, you had the two Chris's, Hemsworth and Pratt, doing the Meta Ray-Bans glasses product. Then there was, I think, another one that had like Kris Jenner in it as well or something. Which thank God
that's why she was in it, because they're all Chris's. I did not put that together until because I think of her, she's a Kardashian. I don't even think about what her name is. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like 14 Kardashians, and I know Kim Kardashian. The other ones, I don't know the difference between the rest of them. I just know there's something like similar to Kim, Chloe or Casey or something like whatever. But for me, obviously the Marvel trailer was the big deal because I'm all about the superhero life. But if it's not the superhero life, I'm a proud member of the Fast family. And there was a Fast and Furious trailer that was very disappointing, because I was expecting us to get some kind of a hint of when we're going to get Fast X Part 2 or Fast 11 or whatever the hell they're going to call this movie. And instead, we got Dom and Letty and Tej in a Haagen-Dazs ice cream ad where they were driving. It was a Sunday drive. It was not so fast, not so furious. I mean, it was good to see them, but like I was expecting way more, and pretty disappointing ad.
One last very star power centric. Frank, I'm kind of surprised you missed this one. It had Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan kind of recreating the scene when Harry met Sally. It had to deal with the mayonnaise in the sandwich, and Meg is having her moment like she did in the movie. And then camera pans over to one Sydney Sweeney, who says, I want whatever she has. I mean, because Meg is just going on and on and on. So, yeah.
Yeah.
My White Queen was in that, and
she was, and she was fully clothed. No, nothing to reveal. Fully, just
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
But she really wanted the mayonnaise.
I'm still taking Meg Ryan over Sydney Sweeney. No offense.
No, okay.
Still to this day.
Okay.
Oh, to this day?
Day.
To this day.
Today.
Wow. Sydney Sweeney's a first teamer,
Would love to have either person on the show. Either lady would like to join us. We're welcome to
Tristan. I hear she likes roller coasters. Just saying. You might want to take her on Velociraptor or Velocicoaster.
No.
Dang it.
So any other final thoughts from Super Bowl 59? Just the experience of it, any commercials, anything y'all want to mention before we get out of here?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tristan.
I said I'd love to forget it ever happened.
There you go.
I'm sorry to Taylor Swift for potentially not having been proposed to last night after that loss.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm talking about this because this is
now I'm sorry.
No, this is something where that was talked about last year. Obviously they won. It didn't happen. And to me, this is like kind of a correlation between like, okay, so the advertisements for Super Bowl this year were like $8 million a pop, right? Everybody's like, oh, well, you've got to advertise in the Super Bowl. We've got to see a Superman trailer. We've got to see a Fantastic Four trailer. We've got to see a Captain America trailer. We didn't see any of those trailers, right? We just saw one for Marvel, which is the movie that's in May. The reason why is because as big as the Super Bowl is, these companies don't necessarily need the Super Bowl, right? Because Superman had a trailer reveal in December. Frank and I talked about it. That trailer had like 50 million views the first week or whatever. So they created their own day, much like Fantastic Four, like had 200 over 200 million views on Tuesday this past week. They created their own day. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, whenever they decide to do this, if they're going to do this, it's going to be their own thing. They don't need the Super Bowl as like a backdrop, as like a setting. So the people who were saying that was just like, come on, man. Like, they can do whatever they want to do. Like, the Super Bowl is like a corny place to do that, I think. So, yeah. So basically, I'm saying I hate the Super Bowl in a roundabout way. It's overrated. The Super Bowl is overrated. You heard it here first. I'm a championship weekend guy. So let's just get rid of it. Let's have a BCS for football. Let's just vote. Let's vote for who's the best team in the NFL. Let's change the game. Frank, any other final thoughts before we get out of here?
Man, I mean, I think I mentioned it briefly, but I mean, shout out to Saquon and Jalen Hurts, man. I mean, yeah. I didn't want to lose. Of course, I wanted the three-peat, but I don't have any hate for Philadelphia. I mean, the fans are a little bit weird. They whatever, but like for the players themselves, like Jalen Hurts, who has shown just to be a consummate professional, whether it's in college, the pro level, he's just a winner. And for Saquon, for that shit he went through in New York, for them to like pay Daniel Jones all that fucking money and not pay Saquon and watch him pretty much break history. 2,000 combined yards, playoff and regular season Super Bowl championship. I mean, two better guys couldn't have won it, in my opinion. So I'm proud of those guys, man.
Yeah, once again, congratulations to the Eagles on the win in Super Bowl 59. Brittany, you joined us for the first time on Watchers Football Weekly. Final thoughts as we get out of here.
Joining y'all for the first time and the last. So I hope you all enjoyed this. My one night only appearance here on Watchers Football Weekly.
Right.
And scene.
One and done.
Yeah. This was fun listening to y'all. I mean, I'm not as a big enthusiast like y'all, but thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we appreciate those who joined us in today's live chat. Shout out to M Moves, Travis Mitchell. I know Christian was here earlier being all turnt and shit, which was funny. Marcy, of course, King B Johnson. Appreciate y'all being here as well. And I apologize if I missed out on anyone, but I'm pretty sure that was who I saw in the chat. And to those who are watching our replay, let us know your thoughts on Super Bowl 59, the halftime show, commercials, and the Thunderbolts trailer. Leave a comment in the description. Listen to me, I'm tired. Leave a comment down below. Check out our description box for our social media links. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit that notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live.
Appreciate it, Brittany. Also, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can listen to us on those platforms as well. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on those platforms. It helps us out, and we definitely appreciate that. So as we're signing off here, the final episode of the season of Watchers Football Weekly. So for Brittany and for Tristan and for Frank, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night.